Argos go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe, foe, foe. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go, go, go. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go Toronto, go. Go Argos, go, go, go.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 3, the regular season 2026 edition of the Argo Bounce Podcast Show, a weekly, independent, non-affiliated talk show devoted to the CFL's Toronto Argonauts with co-hosts Nick Small and Chris Pomay. And I'm going to bring on my co-host right now, Nick Small. Just 1 second. Hey, Nick, how are you doing on this Thursday, June 11th, 2026, the night before the Argos 2026 opener against the L'Oreal Alouettes?
Hot. Very, very, very hot. We kind of talked about this before the show. We skipped the spring and went straight to summer. It's almost 30 degrees here right now in the Toronto area. Feels like almost 40 with that humidity. I think it's the same with you in Guelph, right?
By the way, one of my former radio station managers, Ryan O'Neill, is watching. He wants to say always a great job. He always likes watching the show. Ryan's watching on Facebook. Thank you so much, Ryan. I really appreciate it. And
Thanks,
I'm looking
Ryan.
forward to a show tonight as well. And yeah, it's right now it's 25 Celsius here in Guelph. So it can't be that much hotter in Mississauga than Guelph.
Oh, it's pretty bad right now. I can say that. But you know what? It'll also be pretty heated up tonight. We've got, as you mentioned, the Argos season opener in Montreal, the Bird's Nest, a place of some of the most heated games the Toronto Argonauts have played over the last couple of years. And today we've got just getting underway with the pregame. We've got the Hamilton Tiger Cats visiting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight. So we have that going on as well, which is great to see.
And the Tiger Cats need this win because they came off another devastating loss to the Alouettes. Montreal really has the Hamilton Tiger Cats number the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, but think of it this way too. If we're able to beat Montreal, no matter what Hamilton does, and especially if they lose, we get the sole first place. We'll have that game in hand over Montreal, and whatever happens between Hamilton, they're either 2 games back or 1-1 as well. And Ottawa's a game back after losing to Edmonton last week.
I got a couple more people watching on Instagram. My friend Bill, who's an actor in LA, and one of my friends in Toronto, who's a real estate agent. Her name is Tiffany Sankey. She is a real estate agent. It's her birthday today. So Tiffany, thank you so much for watching. Happy birthday. And Bill is a well-known actor in LA. He's watching us as well. So appreciate everybody watching the Argo Bounce podcast show with myself and Nick. If you have comments, questions for Nick or myself in the show, please type them in the comments section as well. All right, Nick, just thoughts on the Argos having this bye week. Obviously, I'm not a fan of it, but because there's only 9 teams, I don't know. I guess it's a good thing for the Argos. It gives them another week to prepare, but I'm sure they're getting ready to get antsy to get out and play football, even though they played the 2 preseason games.
Yeah, I mean, normally I don't like it. I mean, in the past, of course, we've seen where it's happened to us after we've won the Grey Cup. It seems kind of silly that for the look of the league that you would, and we see it this year too with Saskatchewan who won the Grey Cup this year. You plan it all ahead of time, I get it, but it's not necessarily sometimes a good look when you start with the champions on a bye week to start the season. But the good thing is, I mean, for the Argos situation right now, with what they got to deal with in Guelph and then move to Toronto later after these 7 weeks on the road, it kind of works out, I think, better that they start off on this bye week because it allows the players to get a bit more time to settle out. They can figure out, like, they were in the dorm residences for most of camp, and for some of them they're going to have to find some sort of temporary housing in the Guelph area, cars, stuff for their families or whatever. And you have to plan for that when you move to Toronto in 2 months time. So it works out really nice for that perspective, that they get a little bit more breathing room. And then the other nice thing about it too, like in terms of strategy, I think it's an advantage this week coming into Montreal, because you look at it last year, Noel Thorpe had, from the moment that they lost into Toronto in that East final last year, all the way into the opener against Toronto last season. So it this time they've had to go off this week opening in Hamilton, and then now they only have 1 week to prepare for Toronto. Whereas on Toronto's side, we've had the benefit of since the end of preseason to focus on this game against Montreal. So I think that's a huge advantage for us coming into it.
Now, Chad Kelly is going to be playing, but he is also hasn't played a CFL game in 18 months, like a regular season playoff game in a year and a half. No, he does look good in training camp. His mobility looks good. His arm looks good. I still feel he might have a little bit of rust, but you know what? I could be wrong. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how Chad handles this, because this is where he ended up breaking his leg a year and a half ago. So you know what? Maybe it's better to get this game and this road game against Montreal out of the way. I'm sure Kelly's going to have a great year. I just think it still might take him a little better time, because he didn't really play that much in preseason. The game against Hamilton, the weather was miserable, and why risk him in bad weather? And then the Argo set him out for the second week. So I'm just going to be curious to see how Chad Kelly comes out in this game, and also the running game too. I know the CFL, the running game is not as important as it is in the NFL, but you still have to be more productive than they were last year. And we'll see with the new guys like Sam Hicks and Isaiah Smith, and if they can get that running game going too, because you don't want Chad Kelly having to do it all, and then the more the quarterback runs, the more chances he can get hurt. And I think for the Argos, not the Eagles, for the Argos this year, they need to keep Chad Kelly healthy. The O-line needs to do their jobs, and the running game and the running backs as well. And we're going to play one of the interviews later on with Sam Hicks, and he's going to talk to us about the importance of being a blocker and how you don't get the rock without being a good pass protector as a running back.
Yeah, it's interesting when you compare that dichotomy with their opponents this week too, with Davis Alexander. He's kind of in the same boat, a kind of run and gun style quarterback, and but we've also seen when he's ran, he sometimes put himself in harm's way and missed a lot of games last year. Only played a little more than half the season with getting injured a lot of times from deciding to carry the ball. So I think you could make an argument for both Chad Kelly and Davis Alexander. It's going to be really interesting to see how the defenses line up, because Montreal is really good with its blitz packages, especially on second down. We've seen them put lots of pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and it's going to be up to Toronto to be able to match that. And I mean, I think the bigger question going in, less so than the offensive play, they proved that they were still able to put high 20s, low 30s most games with Nick Arbuckle last year. But the big problem that they had was they were giving up 30-40 points every year or every game defensively last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how these changes that they've made benefit tonight. We have the depth chart, so we know who they plan on starting.
Yep.
So it's going to be looking at that to see how they're able to stop Montreal's passing game from Davis Alexander.
We got some more comments here. We got Robbie Schneider watching from Salem Field in Buffalo. He's at the Buffalo Bisons game tonight. It's Buffalo Bandits lacrosse night at the ballpark. So, Robbie, thank you for stopping by. Let's go Bisons, 3-0 for the Bisons in the 6th inning. And I also have
Nice.
another comment from one of my guests. She is an author of a book here in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. Her name is Emma Miller. She's an author, and she wrote a kid's book, Doolies. It's small magical elves. So she's going to be on my show very soon as well. So Emma Miller, who's an author from Kitchener-Waterloo, thank you so much for watching on Facebook, and same with Robbie and Ryan too. Anybody have questions for Nick or myself or the Argo Bells podcast show, please type them in the comments section as well. Rick must be busy tonight because Rick is usually watching us and commenting us too.
Yeah, maybe he has it on in the background. Been a busy week. I mean, Hamilton's playing tonight too, so he could be caught up in that as well.
That's true. That's what at 8:30 kickoff on TSN and the Tiger Cats audio network.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing the pregame. They got a lot of interviews with Scott Milanovich and Bo Levi Mitchell. I mean, yeah, hopefully they do a little bit better than they did in that the game last week. They should have beaten Montreal, but a terrible pick six and then a costly fumble in overtime really screwed them up when they probably should have won. So it'd be tough to rebound against Winnipeg.
But if the Argos do the same thing and give up pick sixes and fumbles in overtime or whatever, they're going to lose. For anybody to beat the Montreal Alouettes, you got to play a clean game, and basically any game in the CFL. When you throw pick sixes and then turn the ball over in overtime, you're going to lose. So Hamilton is under a little pressure too. This team is supposed to be a great cup contender, and if they, let's say, lose again against Winnipeg today, 0-2, you might start hearing some fans and maybe some of the media question Scott Milanovich, who I think is on a hot seat. I think he's on the hot seat this year to get this team over the hump to the Grey Cup.
The discipline, I think, is going to be really interesting, especially on Montreal side against Toronto. They had, I just brought it up here, they had 11 penalties for 120 yards. So the full length of the field in penalties last week. So there's arguably 7 points right there. So, I mean, and I know from what I've seen in camp, from what I've witnessed in the preseason games, like Mike Miller is a coach that really preaches discipline. And I think, and Jason Moss is the same usually. So you could argue that it might just be, week one flukes or whatever, but it's going to be really interesting to see how both these teams play tonight, and what's the debut for Miller as head coach and Jason Moss team that won by the skin of their teeth this week and last week, and really needs to maintain it this week.
Absolutely. That's another factor in this game. Hey, we got some Argo news today, Nick. We must talk about now. Do you feel the Argos made the right decision in extending wide receiver Kevin Mattel, and how much of an impact do you feel Mattel will have on the offense in 2026? And I still have a bit of a cold, so just mind my voice right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. I think that it's an absolutely great decision that they managed to extend Kevin Mattel. From what I understanding, it's only a 1-year extension, but that's typical of CFL. We don't usually see extensions of 2, 3, 4 years. That rarely ever happens. But it's a really, really good sign. Ever since Toronto drafted him, like Kevin Mattel, there's a little bit of a rocky start just because he was battling a little bit of injuries. But once he's been in there, I mean, he scored the first touchdown for the Argonauts in the Grey Cup in 2024, and every year he's looked better and better. And I think, like, when you look back on that draft year, he's one of the guys from that draft class who has really performed adamantly, and just the way he is, his ability, he can play that slot back role, he can play that tight end role. He really reminds me of almost like an Andre Dury type. He's got the physical ability, but he can be nimble when he needs to be. And of course, having him as one of your star Canadian wide receivers is huge in this league. When you need to have, anytime you can get good Canadian talent in the wide receiver or slot back position, it opens up things for other spots, because then now you can have more Americans on your offensive line in the tackle spots. That had been a problem for Toronto last year. You can have a full Toronto American secondary that you might not normally have. So it's a really great thing to have, and I'm really looking forward, because to me, he's only getting better still. Like, he hasn't hit his ceiling yet, in my opinion. What do you think, Chris?
I totally agree, and I feel the Argos are going to come out throwing the ball against the Alouettes. I think they're going to want to get Chad Kelly involved right away, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Mattel gets a first quarter touchdown in this game tomorrow night against the Alouettes. I think it's a good move, and I think it's also good for the fans too, because you start to get identifying with these guys. Obviously, the CFL is a business like the NFL, but it's nice to see guys with teams more than 1 or 2 years. So I really like them extending them another year, and who knows, he might get another contract on top of that. I think he's going to have a big year this year. I think he's going to get I'm going to predict this right now, Nick. I think he's going to get close to 100 catches, and I think he's going to get over 1,000 yards.
It would definitely be nice.
Really,
yeah, it would definitely be nice to see. I mean, I look at the whole wide receiver staff that they've got, and like, you have Kevin Mattal, Makai Polk, who returned after in the NFL Atlanta late last year, I believe. You have DeMonte Coxey back, who kind of missed the latter half of the season. Dave Unger, and then I know Jay Kerslow is currently on the IL. So you have Tyler Kamen coming in as replacing in that position. You have Janarian Grant returning, but all these guys, with the exception of Kamen and Herslow, they were all part of Chad Kelly's wide receiver core 2 years ago before he got injured. So it's not like you have lost some guys. Tavares Daniels retired. Dejon Brissett went to Calgary, but the core wide receiver group is still there. So it's huge that he's got all of his targets. And I mean, there'll be some new faces, obviously the running backs with Hicks and Smith. And then you have Jack Cassar now going from linebacker to fullback, as well as Parcelitis, that's one of the things on the offense I'm going to be really interested in seeing, because when we look back at, how Mike Miller might coach versus Ryan Dinwiddie almost never used the fullbacks except in very niche circumstances. So I'm really curious to see, does Jack Cassar take more reps in that pass protection role? We saw him take a couple of those kind of check down reads from the other quarterbacks during the preseason, but is Chad Kelly going to do the same? It's hard to tell, because if he sees a guy on a 10 or 15 yard hook route versus the check down, Chad's going for the hook route, because he can make that throw better than almost any other quarterback in the league. So it'll be exciting to see, and it'll be fun to watch for sure tomorrow night.
By the way, I'd like to play one of my 2 interviews tonight, and this is with 4-time Grey Cup champion, 2-time Grey Cup champion, 3-time Grey Cup champion with the Toronto Argonauts as a player and a coach, Demetrius Maxey. I interviewed him on Tuesday, and I'm going to play the interview right now with the assistant head coach and the defensive line coach, Demetrius Maxey from Alumni Stadium, and he is a great guy to speak to. And make sure you check out my YouTube channel, Chris Pomay, live with CDP Talk Show. Chris Pomay here live at Argo's practice at the University of Gulf Alumni Stadium. I have a special guest with me, Demetrius Maxey, the defensive line coach for the Toronto Argonauts. Just thoughts on training camp and practice preparing for Montreal this week.
Always aggressive, always focused. We eager and ready to get it going. We've been battling with each other for the past 6 weeks. So, we had those 2 preseason games, but, that's just all on how to try and get the teams together and settled. These boys are excited. I'm excited and fired up to watch them play.
As a former player and now coach, do you find 2 preseason games enough to evaluate players?
Yeah, because, a player, he's going to show you exactly who he is, the first day. You're going to figure out who a player is as far as his balance, or is it the way he attack, or is his aggression, right? So they're giving it to us as they walk in the door. It's all about having great confidence, right?
How much of an adjustment was it going from player to a coach?
It was easy because I had good people along the way to help me and guide me. In my last few years, I sort of became a coach player, right? So, that gave me a little bit of practice to tighten up and work on my future.
How would you describe yourself as a coach?
Passive aggressive, mean, nice, friendly, fiery, loving, caring, great, excellent, and exciting.
Now, what are you guys looking for from your defensive line this year? Like, obviously, you look for talent, but what other characteristics do you guys look for in D line players?
Well, you said it. Great character, first of all. Accountability, tough, physical, aggressive. Making sure they continue to stay focused on the task at hand, and clearing everything that they see and they do, and just make sure that we continue to work together as a group, because as we work as a group, then you become better as a player.
Did you ever see yourself as a coach when you were playing in the CFL?
I did. This is something what I wanted to do, like I said, and it started off with me in high school with my wrestling coach. So, he sort of guided me along the way, and I continued to speak with him throughout my entire coaching college career and my pro career. So, he was a great influence for me.
What kind of an identity do you guys want to establish with this Argos team and for the fan base this year?
Just let everybody know that we are consistent, that we are, relentless, and we will never back down to anything. And we're focused and ready to attack any and everybody.
And just quick thoughts on bringing back Ralph Hawley, who was in Cleveland last year. How much does he bring to this D-line?
You know what? It's their loss. You know what I mean? They lost a great player. It was great that he had the opportunity to go down south. That's a lot of us dreams, but we're happy to have him back. We're excited. Toronto is a place for him, and if it's a place for him, we're gonna continue to embrace him. He's a major factor on his team for success, and he's gonna continue to grind and enjoy his time here, and we're gonna be grateful and happy to have him.
And finally, just quick thoughts on your opponents this week, the Montreal Alouettes.
They are a veteran team, a veteran playing team, a veteran coaching team. They have a head coach that played in this league with a lot of good energy and a lot of great thoughts, so we just going to have to be on our P's and Q's and make sure that we continue to stay aggressive, physical, nasty, and violent with them throughout this entire process.
And finally, what's one fun fact about yourself, and where can the Argo fans follow you on social media if you're on there?
I'm at Coach Maxey 91. And a fun fact about me, I love family. I enjoy my friends. I love food. Any type of Asian cuisine, I'm in there.
I'm a pasta guy myself.
I love pasta too. Pasta and, just Thai and all of that good stuff. Anything with a noodle, I'm loving it.
And ice cream too in the summertime.
You know what? I can't pass on some vanilla, just some vanilla plain ice cream.
I know a good place in Cambridge called Indulge, a little plug for them. But Demetrius, I want to say thank you so much for giving us time out of your busy schedule to do an interview with us, and good luck on Friday against the Montreal Alouettes in Montreal.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Chris, man. You're a beautiful, good person, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Next thoughts on the interview with Coach Maxey.
We're gonna have quite the lineup with all the defensive linemen and all the food. We're gonna have to all go out for dinner sometime and have some nice spread. I had some fried rice today, and oh man, Asian cuisine is the best.
And I eventually I would like to talk to somebody who's a nutritionist too, because I don't think the fans realize how much work is behind the scenes too. These guys are professional athletes. The trainers work with them to stay in shape, but also the nutrition side of it is huge as well. Important as well.
Yeah, for me, I mean, yeah, some of the unsung heroes, guys like Usama Mujitawa, who's the hope I pronounced his name right. He's the head athletic trainer. I'd love to ask some of these guys like what they do in the gym to work out. Like, are there certain activities that they prioritize or specialize in? Especially as someone who's trying to get in shape myself. Like, I love doing things like landmine goblet squats where you extend up so that you're powering through just like you would a lineman off the snap and things like that, to learn that kind of side of it. It's really fascinating. But as for to focus more on the football and that, I mean, D-Max has a really interesting defensive lineup, great group of guys coming into this game. Like he's got Andrew Chatfield, who I think led the team in sacks last year with 7 and had a fumble recovery TD. Ralph Hawley returning back. Jonathan Kongbo, who you interviewed, you had him on our last episode. And then I'm really excited to see what Sawane Toia can do. It's one thing that I love the Toronto Argonauts do better than I think any other team in the league, is that because we have John Haggerty, is such a great Australian punter, we're able to draft global players that can actually play regular positions other than that specialist Aussie punter role. So you have Toia, a global player, starting, which you don't normally see a lot of teams do, which is really awesome to see. And then I mean, you've got like Paris Shan and Jeremiah Ojo backing up in some of those positions. So you've got a lot of depth in that defensive line position. So I'm really, really excited to see what having D-Max back in Toronto brings to the table.
I think the defense will be better this year. I'm not going to say how much better, but I do think it will be improved next. And before I get to some more questions about the Argos Alouettes game coming up on Friday night, I would like to play one more interview I did at training camp, not training camp, Argos practice. Training camp is done. Argos practice on Tuesday, courtesy of Chris Belinovich. And this gentleman is a running back from Fort Worth, Texas, Abilene Christian University, a Dallas Cowboy fan, and he wears number 25, the Rocket Ismail's number, Kadeem Carey's number, Paul Pearson's number. A lot of great Argonauts have wore that number 25, and I think Paul Woods needs to write a book about the Argos players by numbers, I think.
Well, at least we've got between like his works, the Argo Balance, the Year to Remember, and then not to mention all the work that him, James Fraser, Mike Hogan, all of them did on the countdown of the 100th anniversary. There's a lot of great information there.
And we have some more people watching. Mark Anderson from Facebook is watching. He says, we're here in Montreal. Let's go Argo. Thank you, Mark, for watching. Mark, if you have a question for Nick or me, please put it in the comment section. And we have another guest. And we have another person watching, Revenue Godfrey. He is from LinkedIn. He's saying, good morning from Uganda. See, the Argo Bounce podcast show is not just a local show, it's international. So thank you to Revenue Godfrey from Uganda for watching our show, by the way. And we've got another guest from St. Louis, Missouri, George Brown. I'll be watching that live on CFL Plus tomorrow. I'm excited for the season.
Good to hear, George. So are we.
And as we're going to do some more questions and more Argos Alouettes talk, I'm going to play my interview with running back Sam Hicks from Fort Worth, Texas. Courtesy of my YouTube channel, everybody. Chris Pomay, live with CDP Talk Show. Subscribe, like, and share. And here's Sam Hicks from Argos Practice on Tuesday. Chris Pomay here live at Argos Practice here at the University of Guelph Alumni Stadium. I have a special guest with us this morning, running back Sam Hicks. He's from Fort Worth, Texas. He's also a Dallas Cowboys fan. We won't hold that against him. Sam, just wanted to get thoughts on being with the Toronto Argonauts and now this being practice for the regular season against Montreal on Friday night.
I just want to say it's a blessing. I'm going to give my glory to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for getting me here. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here. You know, I just have faith, put in work. Like I tell everybody, have faith, put in work every day just to get here, and it's paying off. So I'm extremely blessed, grateful, and it shows that I put in work every day during practice, and it translates to the game. Simple as that.
Can you tell the Argo fans a little bit about yourself and how much of an adjustment was it coming from U.S. football to the Canadian Football League game?
Yeah, man. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. Country boy. It's a football state, so I'll be playing football since I was 3 years old. I played baseball, basketball, ran track as well at the young age of 3. But football it's like a mecca, is what they say down in Texas. And I have so many family members that play football. Like I have my cousin play at TCU and so forth, right? Really, I'm just a guy that's put in work, that has great character, has faith, and does use my ability God gave me, the gift God gave me, and that's being versatile, being a back, being a receiver, being a returner. And I think that really helped the Argos offense as well. You know, being a weapon and like pinball and the flying Hawaiian. You know, yeah, Shadow Owens. Like I want to do the same thing, and I feel like that's the standard. 25 is the standard. Like Kadeem, like you say, Rocky Ismail, like that's the standard, and I want to rise to that standard. I want to break that standard and move it up even more. So, yes, sir.
What's 3 words to describe yourself as a running back and a teammate?
3 words: versatile, humble, and like what Pinball said, a beast. You know, and I'm gonna throw a 4th one in there: a young leader in the making. So that's, I would say, 4 words that describe me for sure.
Now, as a running back, how important is pass protection too?
Very important. It's been drilled to me since I was in high school. You know, so I already know the importance of pass blocking. You know, we gotta keep the QB safe, and that actually shows and explosive plays in the offense. And like what they say down south, no block, no rock. If you don't block, you're not gonna get the rock. Simple as that. So I take that with pride as well. So,
who were some of your early football influences and mentors?
Early, like influences, Razzie Bush, Taven Austin, Chris McCaffrey, who else? Odell. Then mentors: Pat Brown, Coach Brown, ACU, Coach Jackson, Central Michigan. Now Kadeem Carey. Shout out to who else? Oh, Coach Bowie, OC, the best OC I've probably been with at Abilene Christian as well. I say that's my mentor. But the influences, that's who I always watched when I was younger, especially Taven Austin.
Being from Texas, Emmitt Smith fan?
Yeah, I love Emmitt Smith, man, and I met Emmitt Smith a couple times. I'm also an LT fan too as well, you know, because he played at TCU, and that's like 10 minutes from my house. And my older cousin, Aaron Green, is a big influence on me because he's a legend in TCU, and I look up to him so much. I want to be better than him. So.
And for Argo fans, what would you tell them to expect from Sam Hicks this year?
Expect greatness. That's all I can say. I want to be great. I want to be the greatest to ever come here. I want to be the greatest to ever put on 2-5. So to expect greatness, and I'm just going to put work, and you have my word. I'm going to put work into it, show my faith, and you will see on the field. You're going to see the light in me. So.
And what's a fun fact about Sam Hicks?
I love anime. I love anime so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the Japanese culture. I think I'm a ninja, like a, you know, mask on with a sword, shuriken, all that stuff. But yeah, I love anime, man. I love cartoons like that. So
I was just at a Comic-Con in Niagara Falls.
Really?
Too. So if there could be one, who would it be?
One superhero? Ooh. Superhero or like anybody?
Anybody.
Oh man. I want to say probably Naruto or Goku. No, I like Kakashi from Naruto. I like Batman too.
And just finally, quick thoughts on the Montreal Alouettes Friday. And where can our fans follow you on social media?
Good team. Look forward to playing them. That's all I have to say about that. I'm ready, and my Instagram socials is Hicks for Six. So that's my nickname. They call me out here.
Six, and hopefully Mike Hogan will be calling that a lot this year as well.
Absolutely.
Well, Sam,
Absolutely.
I want to say thank you so much for doing this interview out of your busy schedule. And continued success with the Argos, and good luck Friday night against the Montreal Alouettes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Next thoughts on the interview with Sam Hicks from Fort Wayne, Texas.
See, there are more Toronto Argonauts fans, players, whatever, who are otakus more than just me, who are interested in Japanese culture. So I'll give that point to Sam Hicks. And I mean, pretty awesome that brought up the 25 number. Of course, Rocket Ishmael wearing that. Of course, a couple numbers I have up on my wall there on my jerseys. Dick Shadow, Joe Kroll, arguably two of the best ever. I mean, them, Nykoluk, and Pinball are the only 4 numbers to be retired. You have Royal Copeland.
Should be more. They still should retire number 10. The greatest receiver in Argos history is number 10, Terry Greer, and I told Mike Hogan this.
What would Kevin Mattal wear?
Mattal is great. Don't get me wrong. He's great. Don't get me wrong. but to me, Terry Greer, his number, if they're going to retire another number, it would be number 10, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, unfortunately with the large rosters, the like we're already seeing in camp with just 4 retired numbers. We
Yeah.
have fans wearing or players wearing a white 26 and a blue 26. Like we're already duplicating numbers. The rosters are so big to begin with, so it'll be difficult to see what they do. I don't anticipate many more retired numbers. It's like
10.
these days
Number
you
10.
have to do something so remarkably incredible.
Well, number 10, dead. The greatest season in regular season football history, the 1983 season with over 2,000 yards receiving, the first wide receiver to do that. And he was one of the first superstar receivers in Argo's history. To me, he's the greatest receiver in Argo's history. So, Nick, if they have to retire another number, number 10 has to be retired, in my opinion. Kevin Mattel, he's a great player. And if he has a great career, that's fine. But I just think one more number should be retired with this team, and that's 10. I got a ton of comments too.
Sounds like Kevin needs his own 2,000-yard season. Those comments are mostly just me bantering with George Brown. So
okay. And then George Brown says, this is a great interview. We need more players like Sam Hicks. Very humble and happy. And you know what? Being media and doing this show too, I hope he has a great year. He's a very mature and well-spoken player. And I really hope Sam Hicks is the CFL Rookie of the Year. And maybe he could be the next Gil the Thrill Finity. Do you remember Gil the Thrill Finity? Who holds the team record for 250? Who holds the record for rushing yards in a game? 215 yards in a game. Sam Hicks, maybe he could be the next Gil the Thrill Finity. Number 6 he wore, by the way.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, he certainly seems motivated to put his own destiny there. So
you see the little dig about the Dallas Cowboys there at the beginning of the interview. But I told Sam we won't hold it against you, and I took a little dig with Chris Belinovich, Notre Dame. Chris goes, you always got to keep poking me, and I'm like, yep.
Oh, in this household, we're a purely Toronto Argonauts household. Get any of that NFL stuff out of here. We're all CFL as far as I'm concerned.
George Brown says, yeah, that 60-yarder was a momentum killer.
Yeah, we were talking about the Battlehawks, the St. Louis team in the UFL. They had their semifinal game there against the Louisville Kings, the team from Kentucky, and the horse season ate a little too hard, a little too much for the Battlehawks to handle. They haven't. As much as we're mocking some of the rules or criticizing some of the rules that the CFL has changed, at least we don't have something stupid or ridiculous like I don't know what the exact rule is, but if you kick it like beyond 55 yards or something, it's worth 4 points instead of 3. And like when the ball crosses halfway through the field, you're not allowed to punt anymore. Like that to me is a little bit more circus. So at least our rule changes, as much as we criticize them, at least they're still grounded in some semblance of keeping the game the same. It's mostly field dimension changes. It's not some insanity like what we saw in the UFL this past week.
Nick, you watched my show with Dave Naylor, and by the way, I missed all the comments until after the show. Dave Naylor did do a great job explaining to me why a lot of these changes happen, and Dave's a really good guy in the Insider. But Dave agreed with me; he's not a fan of this playoff format. If the league had like 12 teams, or even 10 teams, 12 teams, Dave could understand it, but he doesn't still understand it. But he said the reason they did it is to generate more revenue from playoff games. So Dave, even though Dave's not a big fan of this playoff format setup, he understands why they did it, to generate more playoff revenues and games and stuff. And Dave also thinks Quebec City would be a great candidate for a CFL team, but you have to have the owner. You have to have the stadium. You obviously don't want to have you don't want to have expansion teams come in and then fold like the National Lacrosse League. That's a league I follow, Nick. And in the last 5 years, they've had 3 teams at least fold and 2 more relocated. And that's not good for the CFL. So the CFL needs to be careful with expansion.
Well, you don't have to look to other leagues. We tried expansion in the 90s in the US,
With
and I think
CS, yep.
one thing that I'll give credit to is I think that they have looked at some of the things that went wrong that time they expand, and that's why they're taking it really carefully in this circumstance. And especially I think there's a lot of contrasting to what's going on between like some of the women's sports leagues that have really aggressively expanded, especially the hockey, but also as Dave Daler pointed out, back in that those days, the NHL was 6 teams, and the NHL or the CFL was 9. So
Yeah.
it's a really interesting contrast there. The other thing I wanted to point out that Dave Naylor talked about too, like I think he made a lot of really strong points based on the backlash we've seen. Like it was important that the commissioner made these changes with the board of governors before bringing them to fans, because they knew, like, we see the majority of fans who like the game the way it is, we're going to be opposed to changes. But when we see it now and reflected in like the revenue deal, the TV deal, they just announced they have almost twice as many sponsors, like national wide sponsors for the league as they've had last year. The one thing that he has done extremely well so far in this first year is that the marketing and the money coming into the league right now is something that they have not probably ever seen before in this scale. Like we're talking $500 million
$5 yeah.
this year.
With
So,
the Bell Media, TSN, and the online wing stream. What's it, Denzin?
yeah, DAZN or whatever, DAZN, yeah,
DAZN.
whatever. But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, like, to go off of that, like the big question is like, was it because of all these changes that has allowed all this new marketing money, for what it lack of a better term, to come in from that? And I think right now the answer seems yes. And the question, we're going to see how it gets balanced over the course of the season, is will it be reflected in like the game? Will the gameplay still be good and something that people will still want to show up for and to turn out? And I mean, I know there's a lot of criticism right now with the attendance figures for week 1. And I mean, I know it can sound like you're looking at a lot of excuses, but there was a lot of problems with the way this first week was. I can't explain Hamilton other than it being on a Thursday, but like, yeah,
They didn't promote it. They didn't promote it well. I've
Well-
heard it from other Tiger Cat fans that they didn't really do anything to get people to come out on a Thursday night. And to be
No,
fair
and-
to be fair to the Tiger Cats too, a Thursday night is a school night and a work night in the city, Hamilton, and then you got a lot going on. So to be fair to Hamilton, Thursday night's probably not your ideal night to start your home season.
It's hard in a blue collar city. Calgary, you had it absolutely freezing cold there. Like, whereas I'm complaining about it being almost 40, like there are people with blankets out in Calgary. And then Ottawa, you had rain, and in Winnipeg right now you have rain. It was coming down pretty hard, and it looks like it's still coming down as the Cats are beginning or in the middle of their first drive. Yeah, there's a lot of that. To tack on George's question, I don't know yet about the CBS.
Good
deal.
question. I should have asked Dave Naylor. I don't know if Dave would know that too, but how much they're
Probably
getting?
not, but I did look at viewership numbers, and it looks like they're getting about 200 to 300,000 in the playoffs last year, which, to put in perspective, like that semifinal game that I was talking about, the Battlehawks and Kings in the UFL, it had about, I think it was a little over 1 million that they reported. So in the US, marketing, it's still behind the 8 ball.
Nick, who are some Argo players to watch out for Friday night against the Montreal Alouettes, and who could be an X factor? I'm saying my X factor is going to be Sam Hicks offensively.
For me, I think it's all eyes are going to be on Chad
Sam.
Kelly. It's going to be
Chad
the Chad
Kelly's.
Kelly show. Like, he's going back to the place where he broke his leg. He's going back to a place where they came from that. The year before, they had the nightmarish defeat in Toronto in the 13-2 season, and then they had that insane game that they won in the East Final the year before that. It's one of the most difficult places to play. I would put the noise of their fans up with anybody else, louder than Winnipeg, probably louder than
Really past Winnipeg.
It like, you have to be there to really understand. It is insane how loud it is there. And like, you can blame the blowhorns and all that junk, but it is, the fans there are insanely loud. So that's going to be a big X factor in my opinion. And then I think as a position group, I'm really curious to see what the secondary is going to do, because you have a lot of returning players. You have Priester, Amos, McFadden, Franklin, but like you don't. In Pickett, I guess you could throw in there too, but you really don't know what to expect. And if the DBs were terrible last year, so how they redeem themselves there is I think going to be the two things I'm going to be looking at: Chad Kelly and the DBs.
Nick, since we wrap this show up in a couple minutes, can you just tell our audience about the Argos depth chart going into the game against the Montreal Alouettes? And or was there any surprises in your opinion on the depth chart?
Nothing really. I mean, the injury list, the big thing is so Nolan Ulm, Jake Herslow, and Dwayne Hendricks are all the three guys on the 1 game. Ulm's on the 6th game, but I don't think he was probably starting anyways. Like it's kind of, it looks like both Hendricks and Herslow are like questionable, so like it's going to be a game to game, so they might be back for Ottawa next week. We'll see, but nothing else like overly surprised me from Toronto's side. Montreal, it's a bit of a different story because they have quite a bit of injuries already from this first game. We saw Cole Speaker go down fairly early in that game against Hamilton, and he is out. I don't know yet if he's on the 6th. He is on the 6th game. And then
that's a huge loss for them.
Yeah, I mean, Stevie Scott is still on the injured list on the 1 game. And then Najee Murray is on the 1 game, and Justin Lawrence is also on the 6th game. So there's already a couple of big pieces in Montreal out, and there's going to be a lot of pressure, I think, on guys like Sam Snead, Philpott, and Hollins to really kind of step it up with the fact that Speaker's down now.
Nick, what are some keys to an Argos win over the Alouettes on the road Friday night?
I think the key is for Chad Kelly to play like his old self. That's, I think, the whole question that we've waited all of last year and that we didn't get to see is how is he going to perform, and I think that's ultimately what it's going to come down on. If he can go out and play like he did before he got injured 2 years ago, I think the Argos have every chance in the world to win this game. If it's like the East Final, which I doubt, because that was the worst game he's ever played in his professional career, but you never know. That's I think the hide that you worry about to your Dr. Jekyll. But I think if Chad goes out and plays a game that they expect him to offensively, I think they're fine. They'll go as far as Chad Kelly can take them.
Okay, my 3 keys to an Argo win over the Alouettes. Number 1, this is even more important than Chad Kelly. No turnovers, clean game, no interceptions, no fumbles. Number 2, obviously, the play of Chad Kelly, I think, is the number 2 key. And the number 3 key, I think the defense is going to make a play in this game. An interception, fumble recovery, something to turn the change momentum from the Alouettes. I really feel if the Argos can get a touchdown from their defense or some stops, some big plays, I think the Argos can win this game. So turnovers, play clean game. Number 2, Chad Kelly. And number 3, I think the defense is going to come up and make some big plays against Montreal on the road.
Yeah, the last couple of times we played them, I recall defensively when they played against Alexander. Alexander would often get outside of the ends and then would just simply carry it and run for a huge game. Although I think he did ultimately get caught up with him by the end of the game. So we'll see how that goes, because I think there's just as much pressure on Davis Alexander, because although he didn't miss the entire year from his injury like Chad did, he was really in and out. And I mean, you could just tell watching that Grey Cup game that he just didn't have anything left in the tank. But I guess, it's like, do you want to go down with your number 1 or save face and switch to your number 2? And give it credit, 2022, Dinwiddie switched and went from MBT to Chad Kelly, and he got the job done. So we'll see how it goes. But I think that is like the must-watch game that like everybody's going to be glued to their seat from this week. And I'm really, really excited for Toronto football to be back, even if it means we won't be at our home for the next 7-8 weeks.
George Brown, who's watching on YouTube, had another question. I was about to say the Argos will go as far as Kelly can go, and I agree. If Chad Kelly can stay healthy, I don't think he's going to play at a 2023 level, but if he can play at an elite level, I think the Argos will have a good season. I'm not making any predictions. I do feel this roster is better than last year, and I think they have more talent and depth than last year. But an X factor is the injuries. If the Argos can stay healthy, keep Chad Kelly healthy, and limit key injuries to a certain amount, I think this team will compete in the East for the top spot. So we'll see.
Yeah, the depth is kind of the one thing that's maybe a bit of a concern right now. Like you look at like the wide receiver is a good example. You have Tyler Kalman, who was there late last year. But then beyond that, like you've got a lot of new faces. The D line's okay. The linebacking core, I think, is okay. I think between like how Harlamana and Goss and Sluka played, but yeah, you almost every position group you have almost a new guys beyond that. So it's really kind of questionable how they're going to play.
George Brown, again, watching on YouTube, says the O-line needs to protect Kelly. I think that's even more important. Hey, I was talking to Coach Maxey, and I told him it starts all with the D-line and O-line. Obviously, football is a team game, defense, offense, special teams, but you really build your football team around your O-line and D-line. And I think if the D-line and O-line can do their jobs this year, play at a good level, I think the Argos will be successful offensively and defensively and win games. And then, not to mention special teams. Last year, the Argos special teams struggled. I expected the Argos special teams this year to be better than last year too.
Yeah, just briefly looking at the O-line specifically. So you have Bland at left tackle, who's new this way, so it makes sense. Bland at left tackle is new. Hunter, who moved from tackle to guard, so he's left guard now. Nicastro at center. You have Piazza backing up, who is, no offense, a clear downgrade. But I mean, Nicastro is arguably the best center in the entire league. So leave it at that. Shepley is starting right guard with Anim Dankwa losing the starter spot, at least this first week. And then Randolph in at tackle. So between the right tackle, the right guard, and the left tackle, you have three new guys in. You have Hunter, who's moved from tackle to guard, so you could maybe consider that a demotion. And then you've got Nicastro in. So it's a very new look O-line, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on those guys to keep Kelly safe.
Hey, Nick, as we wrap the show up, CFL Week 2, Hamilton, Winnipeg tonight, Toronto, Montreal Friday night, and then Saturday, BC and Saskatchewan on Saturday night. What are your thoughts on these matchups? Predictions?
Yeah, I know the game started, but I haven't really been paying much attention. I think it's scoreless. I picked Winnipeg at home. Even with the rain, they're drawing fans away a bit as well, maybe more in the inside areas of the stadium, taking them. I'm going to go with Toronto on the road. As I've said, like I know everybody and their mother's picking Montreal. They have like a +6.5. If Toronto loses, I don't think it's going to be close, or it's not going to be a big loss. It'll be within that 6.5 spread. But yeah, I still pick them to win straight up. And then BC and Saskatchewan could really be a toss-up, but I'm going to take Saskatchewan simply because they're at home.
All right, Nick, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. Hamilton and Winnipeg, I'm going with the Blue Bombers. I don't think Hamilton's running game is that great. Toronto, Montreal, my brain says Montreal will win this game, but I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to say the Argos will pull off a bit of it. I wouldn't say an upset, but I think the Argos will pull this off. So Winnipeg to win, Toronto to win, and then the Saturday night game, that is a toss-up, Nick. I agree with you. BC and Saskatchewan. I'm going to go with Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions. So I'm going to go with Winnipeg, Toronto, and BC to win their games this weekend.
I guess the thing you wonder is how big the hangover is going to be in Saskatchewan from that Grey Cup that they just won. The other shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. It was something to do with the spread on the Toronto game, but whatever.
And you're right. Winning the Grey Cup, guys aren't as hungry the next year, and they lost some key guys on defense too. But I still think Corey Mason's a good coach. Saskatchewan's going to have a really good team. I just think BC is going to pull it out. And Robbie Schneider is watching again. He's giving us another Buffalo Bisons update. 3-1 Bison still. Great show. And thanks, then Robbie wants to say he's watching on YouTube. Go Argos. And Robbie is in Buffalo, New York. So hopefully more Buffalo, New York people will start watching the Argos, a franchise that knows how to win championships, unlike the Bills.
Oof, shots fired.
Dave
Just like
Naylor does
just
it.
like the
Hey,
Argos have won everything in Toronto that no one else can. So
hey, fun fact about Dave Naylor: he's got a big baseball card collection going back from the 70s and 80s. I did not
uh,
know that.
it was cool hearing him talk about his dad though about lacrosse and how he learned
Yep,
about all the different like how his dad could identify every NHL player who had played in
yep.
lacrosse in like the Ontario area. Like that's a pretty insane thing to know.
I know TSN has a great crew, but I think out of all of them, I think Dave Naylor's the best. I really do. I think he does a great job covering the CFL, and he also covers the NFL as well. And I think TSN's very lucky to have him, and I really appreciate him coming on my show for a second time as well.
Yeah, I had the chance to speak to him at an Argos practice. It was right before they announced the big the Bills Argos partnership thing, like when they announced it at BMO Field
Yep.
the one day after practice. I got to talk to him, and yeah, he's really great gentleman, great to talk to. Speaking of which, that being said, I am, as I said last week, I'm really curious to see what this TV deal and stuff coming around with the zone and their coverage. I'm really hoping there might be some more things between that and YouTube that'll get shows like ours get maybe some more exposure, maybe some more opportunities to do some fun things directly with the Argos. Like wouldn't a pros versus Joes thing be kind of fun for a bit?
Speaking of the Argo Bounce podcast show, it is live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and on major audio platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and wherever podcasts are available. So this show is available in video and audio form in 22 platforms, and hopefully more platforms coming on in the future as well. And I can speak for yourself, Nick. I want to say thank you to everyone for watching and listening to the Argo Bounce podcast show. And I think we're one of the few Argo podcast show that actually gets player interviews on here as well.
Yeah, I mean we're pretty lucky in what we do. We're glad to have such a great connection with the team. I know when they're
Yeah.
back in Toronto, I'm looking forward to getting the opportunities to go to practices more. And Chris, I know you're loving the fact that they're in Guelph, so they're a stone's
Yeah.
throw from you. So
Yeah.
it worked out really nice in that way that
Yeah.
of all the places they could have been, at least we're still able to get a close connection
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
the players.
And I will
Maybe
try to get it. And for our next Argo Bounce podcast show, date and time to be announced, I will try to get another couple Argo either players or coaches to come on our show as well.
Yeah, maybe just a thought. Maybe when they come back to Toronto, maybe I'll talk to Chris Belanovich and maybe see it that way we can get those interviews going. Like you've got all the game coverage through your access, and then maybe I can talk to some of them at practice because I don't really talk to a
Yeah.
lot of the players at practice. I tend to
Yeah.
just watch, so
Yeah.
it's definitely an opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely. And George Brown's last comment, he calls the Argos the Yankees of the CFL.
Yes, sir. It will be 20 Grey Cups in the next 5 years. Mark my words.
Peter
Oh,
Dalakowski.
I don't know what happened here, but there's the stretchers out there in Hamilton or in Winnipeg. Something bad happened.
Which player?
I didn't see it. I saw one of the guys. I think one of the Winnipeg players get hit from the side and kind of took a turn and a flop. So I didn't see what happened. Sorry to interrupt.
You don't like to see that happen to anybody. Seriously,
No.
I know football is a business, but you don't want to see anybody get seriously hurt in that. So hopefully the player will be okay. And the medical teams for the CFL, they don't get enough credit too, by the way. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Herbie Kuhn, the longtime PA announcer for the Raptors. He's been the Toronto Argonauts chaplain for the last 17 years. And Herbie was nice enough to talk to me the other day, and he was telling me he's been doing the chaplain stuff for 17 years, and every team in the CFL has a chaplain with them, and they don't force the players, but a lot of the players like coming to Herbie and these other chaplains as well. So Herbie Kuhn, one of the best not play-by-play, but one of the best public address announcers, has been a part of the Argos organization for 17 years, and I think the players really like him too. He's a really positive guy.
Always the audible at BMO Field whenever Adam Goss for whatever reason can't call the games. Yeah, Herbie. So definitely listen to many of his calls at Raptors games. No better voice to have in your corner.
Hey, Nick, finally, where can our audience follow you on social media and your YouTube channel? Do you have any new content there?
Yep. So I'm hoping to have one out. I'm gonna record it tomorrow if I can dwell in this heat and suck it up and get it through. I will be talking. It'll be on let me restart. I'll be on the. It's called the Small History Podcast. You can find it on YouTube, and I think you may have seen it actually splashed on the page here earlier. I'll also link it to it on my Twitter account, NickSmall38. But I'll be talking about Keiba, which is Japanese horse racing, and I'll talk kind of broadly about the history of horses in Japanese history and in Japanese culture. There's a lot to talk about there, so I hope if you plan on looking for that as some content before the Argonauts game tomorrow, that you'll be tuning in. And thank you for everybody who has been so supportive of this adventure. I'm happy to be able to share things other than my love of the Toronto Argonauts.
And by the way, the Argos Alouettes game, 7:30 kickoff tomorrow from Montreal. The game will be on TSN. I'm not sure who's calling it on TSN, but you can also listen to it on the Argos Radio Network on TSN 1050 with Mike Hogan and Ben Grant. And if it's a 7:30 kickoff, I'm assuming their pregame show would be at 7 o'clock.
Yep. And to those of you who are going to the game, to any of those road warriors in our fantastic Toronto Argonauts community, I want to give all of you guys a huge shout out. I was there last year at the home opener, unable to attend this year. But I'll be in Ottawa next week, so I'll talk about that in the next show. But yeah, it's an important thing for us fans to remember. You know, I know I vented out it many times how frustrating it is to not be able to witness our team and to cheer them on in person as many opportunities as we can. Not all of us have the abilities financially or travel wise to be able to go out to all these away games. I want to give all you guys a huge round of applause and gratitude for doing that. And just know that the players, the coaches, they all know, they all appreciate it. And it means a lot that we're still able to do this and support our team, because we know it's a long 6-week stretch, and it isn't easy for anybody. And I think it's important that we keep that in mind, but we do everything we can as fans to show the team, no matter where they are in Canada, that we have their back, and we're still back here at home cheering them on. So if anybody going to those watch parties, enjoy tomorrow night.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for coming on season 5, episode 3 tonight, and also coming on last week as a last minute guest as well, Nick. So thank you so much. Enjoy the Hamilton Winnipeg game tonight, the Argos Alouette game Friday, Nick, and the Argo Bounce podcast show will be back. Maybe not next week, but we will be back within 10 days. And hopefully we can talk about our Argos win over Montreal, and then hopefully over the Ottawa I want to call them Rough Riders, but the Ottawa Red Blacks on Saturday, June 20th.
It is actually, I learned it's a whiteout game. They're debuting new uniforms, white uniforms. So I guess we can't call them the Red Blacks. I don't know if we call them the Red Whites, the White Reds, the Red White Blacks. I don't know at this point, but you know, you have two colors in your name. It should be easy. Now we introduce a third color, so I don't know how that works.
All comes down to money, but.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but it looks like they got the Hamilton guy off. And Zach Caleros, Tommy Neal scored. Oh, no, didn't drop the touchdown pass. So, but yeah, the guy, whoever it was from Hamilton that got injured, he's off the field now. Best wishes to him. Sorry, Chris.
No problem, Nick. Thanks for the update, and everybody enjoy the games this week. Again, we got Hamilton Winnipeg tonight. Friday, Argos Alouette 7:30, TSN 1050, and then Saturday night at 7 o'clock, BC and Saskatchewan. It's a busy week for the Canadian Football League. Make sure you catch the games on TSN or on your local radio stations like the Tiger Cats Audio Network or the Argos Radio Network on TSN 1050, or I think Winnipeg's games are still on CJOB, Derek Taylor as well. I'll have to check with him if he's still calling their games as well. But hey, Nick, it's going to be a busy weekend. You got the Stanley Cup playoffs going on, which is tonight. You got the NBA Finals, which is crazy, and you got the CFL. So this is a great time of the year for sports. And Nick, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here tonight. And I'm working on getting some more CFL guests to come on. And who knows, maybe our next episode we'll have a surprise guest come on here as well.
Yes, would definitely be nice. To all fellow Argonaut fans out there, take care. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And as always, go Argos.
Thanks, Nick. Go Argos. All right, everybody. That wraps up season 5, episode 3 here on this. I can't believe it's already Thursday, June 11th, 2026. And again, the Argos open up the 2026 season tomorrow night, Friday, June 12th at 7:30 when they take on the Montreal Alouettes. In Montreal as well. And my next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk show is going to take place on Friday, June 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern with special guest Amelia Canto. She is the Chief Executive Officer with the Niagara SPC and Humane Society. So they're going to come on and talk to us about some of the pets that are up for adoption, how people can help out with volunteering and donating money and items down there, and some of their challenges at the Niagara SPC and SPCA and Humane Society as well. So again, Amelia Canto, the Chief Executive Officer, again with the Niagara SPCA and the Humane Society, will be my special guest Friday, June 12th, tomorrow at 4 o'clock as well. And again, I want to say thank you to Nick Small and to everyone for watching and listening to the Argo Balance podcast show, which again is live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and the audio version of this show is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, and wherever podcasts are available. So I hope everybody has a great evening, and you will see you and everyone back here hopefully in the next week or so for the next edition of the Argo Balance podcast show with Nick Small and myself. This is an independent, non-affiliated talk show devoted to the CFL's Toronto Argonauts as well. All right, everybody, have a great night, and thanks again for watching and listening to the Argo Balance podcast show with Chris Pomay and Nick Small.
Go, go, go. Pull together, fight the foe, foe, foe. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the top. Pull together till the Grey Cups won. Go Argos, go, go, go. Scoring touchdowns for the blue on blue. The Argos will win for you. Full of fight and courage, you can't stop. They pile up the points until they reach the